Hi, I am Sarami and I've been sewing and drafting patterns for a long time, but now I want to share my skills with you. I may seem new to the home sewing scene, but I've actually been working in the garment industry as a designer and pattern drafter, and then I had my own factory where we manufactured a line of top-selling accessories that I designed. We made over 10,000 items every year, so I know what it takes to be fast. I like to Are you looking for a faster video? Well, today it's a live stream and I know you're probably looking for a really nice and tidy edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Hello! Happy Saturday! How's it going? Nice, Sarah. Hey, Sydney. Hey, Doan. Hey, Hannah, Lynn, and Terry. How's it going? Happy Saturday, wherever you are. Today is the day I finish my blazer. I am so excited. I even wore a shirt I could try it on over. So excited. This has been such a great process. We only made a couple of boo-boos along the way, or I only made a couple of boo-boos along the way. Maybe you didn't make any. And, you know, I think that anybody's going to make some boo-boos, and we learned something, right? I definitely learned something. I did my first bound buttonholes. Hey, Christina. Yeah, Sarah's done a lot today. I haven't done that much. I mean, I did, but, you know, I don't have to get here very early, so. Hey, Malin, how's it going? Nice to see you. I feel like it's been a few days. I hope you have had a good week. You can see a little bit more. I've been thinking about how I wish I had a bigger table with no machine on it that I could still sit at, you know? Because the pattern table, the quality is just not as good, you know? So. It's 2 p.m. there. That does help. Okay. I feel better. Oh, shoot. What do you mean, yikes to that wiring, but it purrs? Oh, cool, Malin. Oh, I'm glad you got through it all. This time of year is so, I feel like people are like, I'm so busy, but my sales are down, or I'm so busy, and I feel like I'm getting nothing done, you know? So it's like, I feel like the start of fall is always like that. Of all the times of year, like where, you know, the seasonal shift, that is definitely the one where you feel it the most as far as like workflow and stuff like that. Especially if you're a parent, or if you have if you've been involved with the whole like working at home and having to transition back to work this year in particular. It's a tough year. Gotta be nice to yourselves, you guys. Just remember, everybody's in the same boat. And then we're all as productive as one another. That's awesome, Lynn. Yeah, exactly. Those old machines do sound really nice. My first few industrial machines, you could hear them. And that's really common with industrial machines. I can't remember what it is. I know one of you probably knows whether it's servo or clutch or something. I think this is a servo, right? I can't remember. So it's quiet even when it's on. The good thing about those, even though they're louder, like you can hear them when they're on, you don't leave them on a factory floor. So at the end of the night, we were the last ones to leave in the design room. We'd come downstairs onto the production floor, and it would be dark because everyone left at 2 p.m. And you could hear like the one machine that was left on, and you'd go over and turn it off. You know, it was like 60 machines down there. It was easy to find it. So, hi Abby, how's it going? You're talking yourself into going to finish your project so you can start a new one. But I think I'll stay here and watch. Right? Oh my gosh, I've so been there. Yeah. Oh, really, Sydney? Hi, Elizabeth. You know, Sydney, I've had luck with going to lighting places for rewiring of things. Maybe you'd want to go to a sewing machine place, but if it's something like the Cord or something like that, they are a good bet, you know. So, oh, really, Malin? Oh, I didn't know you worked out of the home. Good luck. Good luck. Sydney's like, I feel ya. All right, well, where has this journey taken us? So, this has gone pretty smooth, I feel like. And, you know, someone said something really nice in one of my Patreon Zooms about, you know, Sarah, you got people doing welt pockets that hadn't before. And it's true. I feel like I got myself to do a bound buttonhole in this process. So I think this was a really great thing. And I always need to up my sewing game. Like, I stick to safe stuff all the time. I'm into doing anything, but at the same time, like, whatever comes my way, you know, I will sometimes just go the way I know the best. So it's really good to challenge myself. And we're not quite done. I think this fabric will definitely attract a lot less hair than that raglan I made the other day. Hey, Terry, how's it going? Yeah, exactly, Sydney. Yeah, I've had some good luck with the lighting guys. They were guys at the lighting place I went to locally. So, hey, Libby. That's awesome, Libby. Oh, that sounds awesome. I love it. I laugh a lot, and I wish I didn't laugh as much when because some of it I feel is just nervous laughter, you know? Trying to work on that, being more serious. Okay, so I have a couple things to note. I don't think I did. Okay, so what did we do last time? I did the bound buttonholes, right? Oh yeah, so last week was the bound buttonhole one. I feel like we already talked about this, but it's because I showed it in Thursday. So if you've only been doing the blazer Saturdays lately, hey Angela, how's it going? I worked, okay, so one of the things I had to do off camera was I had to understitch this edge here that we sewed. So one of the other things I learned is that I sewed my lining too far down when I attached my lining to begin with. So if you're at this stage with me, make sure you unpick some of these stitches here. There was probably a circle there and I missed it. So just make sure you unpick that because you need this loose and hanging free and it's all going to be fine, I promise. So, and then the understitching, so this edge here, you want to grade the seams, which means that you're going to, let's see if I can find a seam allowance here. So if these seam allowances were together, grading the seams means one is cut shorter than the other one. So maybe this one would be half its width like that. And this one, it doesn't matter because it's pressed open. But right here along this edge, since the seam allowances are pressed against each other, you want the seam allowances to be graded so that the narrower one is trimmed on this side above the roll line and the reverse going below. And then you're going to understitch it to above the roll line on this side and then below the roll line down here. I'm protecting my view of the bound buttonhole so I can talk about that because so then I needed to face my bound buttonholes and it went pretty badly. No one's going to see this. Kind of no one's going to see this, but I was so careful about placing the hole on the other side, you know, poking pins in there. I tried different things. I triple checked, and I decided to sew a piece of fabric, kind of like you do on this side where you sew a piece of fabric and make a clean faced hole. I did that on this side because this fabric is so flip and thready and every little thing kind of pokes out the corners. I'm happy with the way the sewing looks, but look at the placement. They look like cockeyed mouths, right? So yeah, so that's where I've done. So I did those two things off camera. I kind of told you I was going to have to do this, and I just didn't realize I was going to have to understitch the facing. I should have thought of that. So, and then I also noticed that I need to unpick that on both these sides. So that's where I'm at right now. So I've understitched, see on this side, the facing side, below the roll line, and I left like a gap of like, it's like 2.5 inches. There it is right there, 2.5 inches, just to make sure. And I tried it on, I was really careful, and I kind of backed it off of that so that I could make sure that that stitching doesn't show. So there, I think I've caught you up. Oh, that's good, Millen. Hey, Nancy, how's it going? Nancy is hard at work on her projector. I have a question about the projector thing. Hey, Nikki. All right, so today I'm going to be attaching the lining to the bottom. I'm going to be attaching the lining to the sleeves. We're going to be creating a tether between the base of the armhole of the lining and the outer. And I had this little piece of leftover binding, so I might just do that. Boop. You can use a thread chain or a little scrap piece of lining or something. It doesn't matter. It's on the inside, and it just is a coat thing to do. So your new iron is amazing. Oh, that's so cool, Nikki. What a success story. That's awesome. There's a lot of projector folks in here. Definitely intrigued. Definitely intrigued. I think my question right now is, so every time I see pictures of people's setups, the cutting space is tiny. And you guys know I have this big table and I lay out the fabric. So how do you have to slide the fabric around under the projector? And then how do you get to the next pattern piece? Like, is it like a page on the screen and you just kind of like scroll it around so that it's projecting what you want? So, sounds like a good plan, Nancy. Let's see, what else? I wrote some notes, what I'm gonna do. Oh, I'm gonna add the button, and we're also going to stitch this collar seam together. So right now, see, they come apart right here. So you're gonna press open each of these seams and stitch in the ditch right through here. And I think like between here. So those are the things we're gonna do today. And I wrote in order, so I made sure I did things. I didn't get myself into a pickle. I'm going to do something different with the lining. I'm not going to leave an opening right here and do it through the opening. That is in the instructions. You can do it that way. I'm going to do it through the sleeve underarm. I'm going to show you how to sew it with the machine instead. Because there's even a way, even with the pleat and everything, you can sew your entire lining of a jacket with a machine with no hand sewing, because they would never do that in a factory. So you scroll around, Libby. Oh, okay. And so you scroll around, but you do have to slide your fabric, right? Okay, okay. Interesting. So, because I was kind of hung up on the idea of it being this really small area, but I was like, but think of it like this machine, Sarah. When you're sewing, you're only focused on this much space of your sewing. You're not focused on the whole project. And when you're cutting, you're only focused on that much. So you just need to have enough to be able to cut, right? Oh, okay. Interesting. Oh, that's right. You're going to trace copy shop patterns. So does that mean you're tracing them inside your computer? So you have a computer version? No, your copy shop patterns. Oh, interesting. There's so many ways to use this. Okay. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to understitch the collar. So we're going to, I'm going to pull my sleeves out here. Oh, I have it pinned. I have it pinned so I don't turn them around, you know, like get them twisted. But we're not sewing those yet, so let's see, is this one pinned too? Yeah. Okay. Hey, Charlie, how's it going? Oh, okay, Nikki. That's what I was thinking about, Nancy. Hey, Megan. Oh, that's cool, Megan. I'm with you on that. I don't think I would have ever done this because a blazer isn't something that I would normally have in my wardrobe. But now that I have it, it's really fun to think about wearing. I'm pretty excited about it. So, a bike ride. What the heck? We'll probably still be here when you get back. Have a good bike ride. That sounds like a great plan. A good way to mark masks. Mine and my daughter's are different sizes, but my husband, who does laundry, can't tell them apart. I mean, you could just use, you know, indelible ink on the inside, put your initials, unless it's black, I guess. Then I would probably just sew something to it. Oh, wow, Nikki. Copy shop pieces are all in different crayon lines. Oh, interesting. This is, I realize what a visual learner I am when it comes to something brand new to me. I really need to see it. Like, if I could just see a video of someone doing the whole thing, and I should just do that, I should just Google a video of someone, just once I see it, it'll all click. I have to understand logistics on anything before I do it. Oh, and I had a new video I uploaded yesterday, if you're interested. It's like a little longer video, but and it's 5 questions, one take, no edits. So and it's 5 questions, and it's like this hashtag, and you can look at that hashtag for other people doing it. Something's like flashing at me. I don't know what it is. There's like nobody over here, so kind of weird. It must be someone's car door way far away. Oh, it's a motorbike ride. Oh, yeah. You got to take advantage of those right now, this time of year, right? All the pieces are on the same grain line. Oh, see, I didn't think about that. Yeah, you would have. I was wondering why you would need a separate projector file. Of course, you need a marker. That's a marker. That's so funny. Okay, yeah, so you need a marker. Oh, cool. I'm glad you guys liked it. I feel like a lot of it you've seen before, you know? Oh, yeah, embroidery floss with simple X. I did that on my pillow. It does look like a spider since I used black thread. There's that. It's because so I can tell which way my pillow needs to go on my bed because I couldn't tell. It's a long story. I have a different pillowcase, and I couldn't see the pillow goes on. Anyway. Oh, yeah, Sarah, yeah, that was really fun. I really enjoyed that. You know what I enjoyed about that was that it's just nice to talk in real life with people about sewing. I mean, I'm sitting here, and you're just kind of, you know, you're kind of subject to whatever I want to talk about here. And it is two-way, like we all talk back and forth, but it's not the same as having that live interaction, which is really nice. I just realized I turned the alert box off. Oh wait, that's not it. Oh, there it is. The one that says alert box. Oh look, here's my little viewer account thing. It's like way down here. Cool, yeah, that's fun. I really enjoyed Sam's Frugalissimas, so that's what made me go, oh, this is kind of fun. This is so easy. So, all right, let's get to it. I'm procrastinating. I really don't enjoy dealing with this canvas and this fuzzy little seam here, you know. But I do need to open up that seam. See, if I press this seam open though, what'll happen is my label will flip up. See? It's one thing to think about with your label is that you might want to center it right down here. And just for clarification, I did sew this incorrectly back here. It was supposed to be bound. So if you kind of missed that one, just look back and you'll see I kind of explain what you're supposed to do. So. Oh, Sydney, that's funny. Okay, so I'm going to press this once more. Let's make sure I have pressed it, you know. So, oops. Oh, that's cool, Elizabeth. Yeah, you know, I heard from quite a few of you that you practiced bound buttonholes just on scrap just to try it out. And I loved hearing that because I think sometimes there's more than knowing that there's more people out there like me that just has to try it just because they're like, wait a minute, how hard is that really? Or wait, I don't understand how it's working. I have to like try it myself, you know? Because that's generally what happens for me. I have to like understand it by doing it. There was a lot of times when I would be drafting a pattern, and when you're using a CAD program, it's so like unsatisfying because the pattern pieces are, you know, like this big on the screen, you know, they're not life size, and you just sometimes get kind of lost, you know. And so I would always have these little like paper miniatures at my table. Sometimes I would even print them out on the printer next to me on a little 8.5 by 11 and cut the little pieces out and pretend to sew them together just because I really needed that kind of like just confirmation that what was happening was really happening or not. I'm a little scared I'm gonna like iron something else permanently that I shouldn't. So I'm just opening up this seam right here. This right here is pretty stiff where this horsehair is. So I'm really hoping I can keep that back. I also don't really want to melt my shoulder pads. That looks pretty good though. It's all staying open. So that's a good sign, right? So it'll stay open when I sew it, right? Except for this right here. This seam I'm gonna have to stitch going up. That's awesome, Terry. I love that feeling. All right, so I'm gonna place this. You know, it's kind of interesting, like when I look at where this seam is actually landing, you know, like that. So I'm going to admit, I have cheated with steps like this and just sewn them from the inside, like right now. Like you could just take these and sew these right together. Because I'm a cheater like that. I'm a little concerned like right here where I have this seam pressed down, that maybe I would want to do that there to make sure it stays down, right? Where's the center? There's the center. Yeah, physical memory. I love that phrase. That's exactly, I think, what it is for me too. You make little prototypes. Yeah, the screen, it's so hard. Yeah, right, Terry? All that practice. This looks so thick, yep. Well, right here, it kind of is because it's the juncture of all these seams, you know? So I'm just kind of feeling things and seeing what I think right now. Lining up my raw edges. Doesn't that seem so satisfying to just stitch that together? So I kind of want to do that. I'm just going to do it near my label. Right here. Wait. Kind of wish I was doing this in a contrast thread color, you know? All right, so this is open, but that's pressed up. So I'm just sewing it right there in that little section. Ooh, that sounded funny. That kind of scared me. All right. I don't know if I like that either. Yeah, so I wanted that to go, I think, the other way. I'm going to take it out. I'm just experimenting right now. Why not? Right? Hey, Barbara. Hey, Janice. Thanks for telling us, you enabler, you. You're right. Yeah, there's a lot of enablers here, aren't there? I want to try the piped strip method. Yeah, they really do. I'd really like to try a corded buttonhole too. All right. So I want to think about this. I want that to go that way. I can't do that. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. So the idea was a sound. It's not going to work in this case because I actually don't want this to go this way. I want it to go this way. Like that. All right. Worth a shot, right? All right. So let's position this. And let's look at our whole collar. I think what I'm going to do is pin my collar a couple inches away from this edge just to stabilize it while I position that seam. That's a lot of jacket. Wish you could do this when it was smaller, you know? Okay. Just making sure everything feels nice and flat. So remember, your collar is going like this, right? So technically, this side could show. So I personally think you should sew it from the right side because your collar can come up and you wouldn't want it to show on this side, whereas this side's against you. So I'd focus on this side, on the right side or the outside of the blazer. Feels a little awkward, you know? The undercollar really feels like it's doing its job though, which is really nice. All right, Abby. That's how it goes, right? I never get the catalog. I only get the little card. You know, I've got a ton of those. Maybe I opted out of a catalog once and they are like, yeah. Yeah. So like right there, it looks kind of bulky. I'm just investigating. Okay. It all looks okay on the inside here though. Oops, sorry. All right, so let's commit. So I'm just gonna poke this through and see where I'm at. You know? Angela, my goodness. Thank you. I feel like all I'm doing is struggling right now. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, the stitches look better on the underside than the top, right? And we wanted to look good on the right side. Look how far off that is. Why is that? Okay, so this is where I want the seam allowance to go up. There's my center. It's kind of interesting to still think about stitching it from the side to me. Yeah, she is. I have been shopping a bit lately. I'm trying to plan projects and things. And it's so frustrating that I feel like I don't always have quite the right fabric here. And I think it's partly because I'm kind of stuck in this, like, you just don't know what's going to work, right? So, you know, I did the Minerva thing because that's essentially it's free fabric, which is really the highest expense. And even if I'm not into it, I could still probably donate it or sell it, the project, right? So that is not, look at how that is on the center and that's not on the center. So is my label off center? You kind of hope it is at this point. It could be. This is awkward. Sorry, this is really awkward. Okay. Let's go this way. Let's pull this apart and do it. I just want to find the center. And no, should I even be targeting that? You know, so like that is so generous of them, and it's so great and helpful. But I was thinking, oh, this will be great. I could use this with the 5 out of 4 patterns because I have to sew one of those every month, or I have to post something about it. That is in the center. All right. But the fabrics that haven't been compatible, so that's kind of been a drag, you know. Oi, why is it so fiddly? Why is this the hardest part? All right. Ow, ow, ow. Okay. Okay. Let's get this nice and lined up. Shoulder to shoulder. Start there. I'm going to use this little stubby pin here. I'm going to try and go for like precisely where it was supposed to be. And we're just going to see how the collar acts when I do that. Because there's a chance, you know, that my seam allowances got off along the way. Or, you know, and things get misaligned, right? Oh, this pin's poking me. Yeah, so I still find myself shopping a lot for fabric. But I have been able to get my husband a few things that he needed in his wardrobe, which is kind of cool. You can. If you need it, you can. But why not go to the other shoulder and meet in the middle? Oh, yeah, right, Barbara, exactly. Yeah, I was kind of focused on that center point. This pin is too crooked. Oh, you know what? These are really satisfying. These decorative ones are so strong. Yeah, if you need interfacing, you can interface your boiled wool, but it probably will be thick enough that you won't need it for most things. I made the Wixton Howry, which is now called the unfolding jacket. I made that out of boiled wool. It's the one that sits here at my office. Blackbird just got a lot of boiled wool, and that's where I got that from. It's great. I love it. I love it because it looks good on both sides, you know, and theoretically it has been boiled, so you can wash it, but I would definitely do a wash test, you know. I feel like this, you never hear me say this, I think this would be a good hand sewing step. You know? Let's see where this lands. It's right there. All right. Let's push it over here and see what happens. Oh, man. Okay. That's pretty good. Oh, I just lost a pin. All right, so if that was where I stitched it, would that be okay? Well, it seems like it would be okay. But is my seam allowance still pressed open? It doesn't look like it on this side, but it is. Cat is sleeping on the cat fabric bin. Cats are so funny. Yeah, I think the boiled wool you'll also find is it's not thready, but it leaves a lot of like little berries. We always called them fleece berries behind. So it can be a little messy sometimes, depends. But other times it's so dense that when you cut it, it's so satisfying. It's like, you know, cutting a wool mat, you know. All right, so this feels pretty good. I got to share a video. My mom and my sister have been owners of guinea pigs. They love them so much. And I saw Bernadette Banner just did this one on a Halloween costume reviews for guinea pigs. And my mom and sister don't watch sewing videos, so I thought, oh, they're going to like this one. They both really liked it. And they both really like, whoa, we want guinea pigs again. So if you have a guinea pig and you want a, you know, fun video. I haven't watched it yet. I don't know. I'm pretty suspicious of this. Let's pretend like we're sewing. We're gonna put some pins in here. It's starting to feel easier to do though. I'm starting to feel like I'm lining. It's lining up. Look at that. Dead on. All right. This is worth it. Oh, is that his name? I didn't even know she had a guinea pig. Did you, Lynn? My mom had one. Coil was his name. Remember from the shipping news? And he was pretty funny. Like, I didn't know much about him, but I just remember I came home to visit. And I was like, what, you have a guinea pig? And so every night, like when everybody was in bed, you know, she had a little step stool by her like chair, her like cozy chair. And the step stool was actually, I'm pretty sure it was a short cat scratch post because it just worked for her feet, her height really well. I feel like that's what it was. And then, so she would set Coil on the little footstool, and she would go, and he would get so excited, you know, making all these little, like, you know, sounds, really cute little sounds. And she'd go and get like this whole snack, you know, celery leaves. I don't know what it was, but, you know, it was like things like that. And she'd save things from dinner, you know, like veggie tops and stuff. It was pretty cute. And then he would jump from the little step stool when she was settled in the chair onto her lap, and he would eat it, and she would, I don't know, do guinea pig things? I don't really know. I was like kind of perplexed by the whole thing, so I was never thought of my mom as owning a guinea pig. It was awesome. Butterscotch. That's a cute name. All right, so this is going okay. We're pretending like we're sewing right now, right? My canvas is so wiggly that it's pretty amenable to doing what I want it to do. But I can't really leave it like this for sewing in my machine, right? So, but look at that. I've got all my pins pretty much in that collar seam. All right, so I think I'm gonna pin the heck out of it now on either side. It's like a voodoo doll. I'm actually feeling like the voodoo doll right now because I'm keep getting poked. Lining the coat is easier and faster. My mom's lived for a long time, but he lived longer than he should have. I don't know the answer to that. They're really prone to respiratory issues, so they can't be in drafty areas. And he ended up getting that respiratory thing, I think. But he had already lived well past his life expectancy. And so then she felt terrible because he had been living under the, like the ducting, the return. Not that he was getting blown on directly, but she worried about it, you know, and yeah, so. Yeah, right, Nancy? It's hard. This is something I would probably explore to figure out an easier way to do. And it would probably involve machine sewing, to be honest. Because I think you could machine sew the seam allowances together. The problem with that is the stitch would be like right here on the inside of the jacket. So your collar wouldn't be tethered here where it should be, you know? So it's not ideal. And I don't think that would help you do this step because you could be positioning it a little bit off. So I'm trying to get it straight up and down. Really, Janice? Are you sure? It wasn't one you're like your parents that, you know, kept replacing. I mean, I'm not doubting the integrity of your parents, but I used to have this friend, and if you've had kids go through this phase where they all of a sudden will become obsessed with one thing, and they talk about it constantly, right? For months. Like it'll be like a solid 4 months where they'll bring up this one little thing. Like maybe they saw some guy trip in the street while we were driving by, right? It would be something like that, like some little inconsequential thing that maybe you didn't see or maybe you saw a glimpse of, and then they keep bringing it up, right, over and over. And there's not a whole lot to tell about this thing because it was so quick, right? It was just this quick little, you saw that guy trip as you drove by. So you're talking about 1.5 seconds of information. And so if you have to talk about this 1.5 seconds of information for 4 months, every single day, multiple times a day, it gets old, right? I don't know if any of you went through this, but my kid went through this. A lot of my friends' kids went through this. I don't remember what it was that Cricket got fixated on. So my friend, her kid was going through that, and he had a goldfish, and it died. And so they went through that whole thing of like, well, we want our son to learn about, you know, the life cycle. He's old enough, but he's also in this phase where he talks about, he'll do that, like bring up that thing over and over and over. And they were just like, we just don't want to talk about this for 4 months. And he might start doing that. And so they replaced the goldfish without him knowing. And then it died right away again. And then they were just stuck in this loop of like, shoot, we are now those parents replacing this goldfish. And it's not even for the reason of usually parents do it. It's more that we just don't want to be talking about it. It was pretty funny. To the fishbowl in the country. Exactly, Barbara. You won it when you were 5, where you throw the ping pong ball. Wow, Janice. That's pretty amazing. I have heard of that happening, where people have those particular goldfish live for a really long time. Not funny. All right, let's do a poll in the chat. Yeah, right, Barbara? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just like some kids, like they'll just bring it, and you'll just be like eating lunch, and then they'll be like, remember when that guy tripped? Remember when do you think he's okay? Do you remember that guy when he tripped? Do you think he's okay? You know, and you just get that, like, and you're like, yep, I'm sure he's fine. Oh, I don't know, honey. I don't think he's thinking about it anymore. You know, like by now the guy is 85 years old. It's been 7 years. It feels like, you know, it's like, oh my goodness. All right, let's do a poll. How good do we think this sewing's really going to go? How many pins? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. There's like over 30 pins. I've never pinned more for anything in my life. Okay, remember, I'm going to do a poll, you guys. You got to watch for the poll in the chat. I think it goes to the top. Ask people where it goes. Oh, this is right. This is like heavy-handed wording. There's not much in the instructions. It's like, be careful. The instructions are, this is it. Match the neckline seams of the upper collar and under collar and pin in place. Stitch in the ditch along this seam to anchor the 2 collars together between the shoulder seams. It doesn't even say which side you should sew it from. Because theoretically, if you're stitching in the ditch, it's you know, invisible on either side. Okay, yeah, that's it. Oh, wow, this is legit. Libby's suspicious. You guys don't have to be nice. I want to vote. I'm voting no. I can't vote. You obviously have confidence. You guys are, yeah. Let's see how many people have 19 votes. All right. You can have some time to vote while I sew. How's that? And I'm going to do it. Did I really just pin from the wrong side? I did. It's okay. We're gonna sew from this side. Right over my pins. You have faith. You can't see a poll, Charlie. Where is it at, you guys? For me, it's at the top of the live chat window. So right at the top. If your chat's on the right-hand side, it might be at the very top. You tag it by hand first, Lynn. I think that's so smart. Nancy. Right? Found it? Okay. All right, you guys can, I've unthreaded my needle. I'm kind of glad my pins are on the other side so they're not poking me anymore. I'm just going to go between the shoulders too. Right here. So I'm going to go from shoulder, ouch, shoulder. There's one big pin right here. I'm nervous. Wait, I want to see the chat. More. I believe it. I totally agree, Matthew. Libby. Okay. It stays in the blue. Okay, okay. All right. Let's do this. What is this loop of thread right here? Oh, it's my thread tail. Okay, okay. Here. Nice and personal. This pin right here is stout. I mean, my pins aren't going over the seam. I really hope I sewed a little bit before I started sewing. I can't remember when I changed my thread, if I started sewing. I have a pretty stout needle on here. I'm not worried about breaking it. I'm a little worried about going through this thickness here. I'm going to hand crank. Oh, it's fine. Usually when you're in the ditch, it is a little lighter weight because you're not really going through all those thicknesses quite like they would be. Hey, Penny. I pretty much did. It looks pretty good on that side. Look at that. I am a little thinking that it's not going to be lined up too. For the record, I said I would have voted no. The canvas is so wiggly wiggly. All right, I'm ending the poll. Let's see how many people voted. 22 votes. I'm ending the poll. You'd be bleeding already. Oh, the danger pin's gone. Oh, Libby. Well, that's a first. That's some crazy stuff. I went over the head of 3 pins. I probably should have considered that, even though it wasn't. Look at this one. What was I thinking there? Oh man, I think I was caught up in the pole. I'm gonna turn this around. There we go. I feel like I just sold some pins. All right, so the 14%. Sarah, thanks. Yeah, maybe I do need the money now, Angela, for new pins, huh? I mean, it's okay. Look at that. Like, it's right. I can't believe of all the places it's good right here because it dipped down probably because of the thickness. Thanks, Sarah. You'd call that understitching. Yeah. I'm going to leave it warts and all. Like, that is the beauty of this project for me. But I think you could hand sew. Look at, like, down here, it looks pretty darn good. This is where I started. It got off like right in this little area here. That makes kind of sense, you know. There is a little curve here. It's pretty off right here. The thread match is pretty good. So, you know, on this side, looks pretty darn good. You know, can't even see I stitched in the ditch on this side. So you guys get to see all the secrets. And hey, maybe the photos will be okay. I don't know. I mean, having thread that matches really good, I think is key. Hey Martina, how's it going? All right, so let's do the lining now, right? Understitch the collar. I've spent an hour doing that. We're going to sleeves. Why do I say sleeves first and then lining to the bottom? Pretty sure I do the lining to the bottom first, but I could do the sleeves first. All right, so sew the sleeves together. So the trickiest part about sewing your sleeves together, it's actually really easy to sew them together. It's the twisting of the lining that happens to the best of us, like every time, you know. There's something, okay. Working on costumes. Do you guys do a family theme? I've been seeing a few themes, you know. All right, so see how, here's my lining seam. Here's a seam, there's a seam on here and here. That's not twisted. And so I say do whatever it takes to make sure you're not going to twist it. And for me is, you know, I'm going to pin these together just like this. I'm just going to pin it to make sure. I'll use the short stubby ones. Safety pin it if you have to, because sometimes, you know, like when you're pulling it through, the pin will get caught on something. It kind of creates more of a mess, right? And then the other way you can double check, so I usually grab these, I grab those edges with the pins and then I pull it through like that. The other thing you can do is try on your jacket inside out. And it's not twisted, like everything looks good, it feels good. You can really feel it if it's twisted. All right, so now we have this. And then now what we do is we're gonna pull it through and put this, you know, right sides together, right? So now we have these edges like this. And you're gonna be really methodical, right? You're gonna say, all right, I'm gonna pin these together like this right now before I remove those other pins. Right? Just do whatever it takes to make sure you're not going to flip it. I guess I probably kind of need to take this out. And I don't have the sleeve vent, so you're going to have to double check the instructions because you need to leave a little bit of your lining unsewn, and then you're going to hand sew it to the vent, I'm pretty sure. So you get a nice clean finish. I'm feeling like I'm all thumbs right now. There we go. Really? That's awesome. Oh, yeah, exactly, Margaret. I'm going to do that. I have it on my list. I have my little list. That's one thing I could easily forget before I finished. You know, like after I finished, and then I'd be like, oh shoot, I can't add that now. You know, my lining feels a little. Does it feel bigger or no? Let's pull this out right here. So then I kind of just line up these raw edges and just kind of pull it like this. Make sure everything's lining up. I might get a little tuck, huh? Right there. It's kind of fussy, but all right. All right, so we're gonna sew this right sides together around this perimeter here. 1/2 inch seam. My lining is a little bit feeling like I might get a couple tucks. And I'm fine, kind of fine with that because it's going to pleat over anyway. I might even be able to like steam them out or something. Can you guys see okay? Oh, why not understitch from the other side since you said your sewing room was always going to be hidden? No, I did do it from the side that's always, I did it from the side that is going to show, Janice. So I did it from the outside of the jacket since the inside is against my neck. It probably just didn't look like that, but so I did it on the side that shows. You're talking about the collar, right? The understitching. All right, and then, you know, pull your sleeve through. Well, you don't have to yet, but can. I can do my sleeves before I sew my lining on, right? I didn't just make a boo-boo with that, right? All right. Right, I can do that. I can still, yeah, okay. All right, and so the other thing you want to do in here, whoops, you want to go through this way. Yeah, I feel like I shouldn't do my sleeve line. I'm not going to do the other one. I'll just do this one. The other thing you want to do is where the sleeve, my sleeves were pressed up already because that you do that kind of in the first step of the blazer. Right, Barbara? Yeah, but you know what I'm worried about? I'm worried that the collar won't always hide it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm obviously going to press it, but what if it rides up? I feel like that is more possible, you know? But I think you're right, Janice. I think you could because it would be hidden, theoretically. I mean, I do that with a lot of other things, right? I always sew from the wrong side first to the outside. So, all right. What was I just doing? Okay. I was, okay, here we go. All right, so I'm gonna fold up. So my sleeve is folded up right now along the hem right there. And so I'm gonna tack the hem, the seam allowance to the hem up here to keep my sleeve hem folded up. Can you see it there, folded up? That's the fabric fold line there. So you can do it on the machine or with a few hand stitches. Do I have a needle here? I'll just do a few hand stitches. That might be faster. I need to vacuum, but I need to do big pin pickup. Serious pin pickup. Good thing my pets aren't in here, right? Yeah, right, Barbara? Yeah, don't you think like doing the sleeves first is a little easier? I do want to machine sew the lining though, so I'm wondering if maybe it would be easier not to. All right, so I'm just going to do some quick and dirty stitches, and I'm going to slip my needle under the seam allowance, so that way I make sure I don't get the outer coat. All these threads. Ugh. This will just help keep it folded up. Because you know how sometimes you sew something and you're like, why is it all okay, but it kind of is like the fold isn't firm enough to keep your hem to the inside, and then it kind of just like sags out, you know? Do a couple stitches, and then we'll do it to the other seam over here. Just gonna make sure that it's nice and seated well. Do it right here. I don't want my stitches to show on the right side. I'm a little nervous about that. It's not the end of the world. I can always go back and pull these out and then do it, but it's better to do it now. Why don't I like a magnetized pin tray? I mean, a lot of people like them. Just making sure. The reason I don't use them is because typically what happens is your pins will pick up the magnetization. And my pins do touch a magnet occasionally, because right here on my machine, I have magnets sitting here holding, like I have like a little cheat sheet occasionally, and then I have this little note from my daughter. And look, I threw a bunch of pins right there. That I have more pins there than I've ever had before. But what I don't like about it is that when your pins get magnetized, what happens is if they're sitting on the table like this, I don't know if these scissors, yeah, see this scissor, so this is what happens. And then what happens is you'll get a pin that's behind your blade right there and you won't see it. Like these are tiny, right? But on your bigger ones, and then you'll cut your pin, and it happens really easily. So that's why I don't. Are you going to bag it and pull it all the way through an opening? Yes, I am, Libby. Yeah, and pin cushions are cute. Yeah, so I'm just not a fan, and I just don't talk a whole lot about it because I know a lot of people are, and I don't want to like that's just like a personal preference. That's all. But right now, yeah, I've been kind of utilizing these magnets on my machine, and I've had magnets on my machine for a long time because I used to sew this product called the pattern holder, and it closed with magnets, and so I always had a stack of magnets sitting here because I was the one who sewed them. So I've been used to using it as like a note holder because my machine's metal. It's great. All right, so let's see, did I get any stitches? So now it'll stay up, this cuff here, right? And then, you know, eventually I'm going to press it. I'm going to make sure the lining is kind of hanging down a little bit, and we'll press it and we'll get a nice little pleat and fold in there just like that. Do you really, Janice? Oh my gosh. Yeah, so those are the last few magnets I have from those. I sewed every single one I could at the time when I closed. All right, yeah, so I'm gonna pop a hole in my sleeve right here. We're gonna machine sew the lining just as an option. Normally you would just leave this open. You wouldn't pull a hole open. I feel like I'm missing some comments. Sorry if I am. Just say it again. Yeah, Lynn, that is exactly... I'm kind of kicking myself. I was just thinking about this the other day. I was kind of kicking myself that I had put so many pins on there because they are starting to string. The last pins I had that I was trying out, they wouldn't magnetize. And I realized how really handy it is when my pin cushion isn't nearby, because in general, I don't use a lot of pins. I usually use 1 to 2 per project. And so it's nice just to have those 2 there if I can't reach my pin cushion. And I was kind of like, oh, I kind of am getting hooked on using a magnet. Yeah, for your knitting pattern, exactly. Yeah, like throwing them is nice. Like just being able to toss it out of your way, let go of it. All right, so I'm gonna just clean this up a little bit. This, like, these stitches, get rid of some of them. And I'm trying to decide if I want to attach my lining with which thread color I want to attach my lining to the jacket with. I have the blue on, but I need to close my lining with pink. And I sort of want to reinforce these back stitches right here because there's no back stitch right now. And that's just going to mean that when I pull the jacket, I have to be able to pull the jacket through this hole. You don't want it to go too far down here because it gets, you just don't want to have to deal with that part. You just want a nice size opening. Can I get my jacket through that hole? Let's give myself a little bit more. I'm not really showing you the fastest way you could have done this, but this is just an option. If you know about it ahead of time, you can kind of set yourself up to do this. I'm just gonna use use some hand stitches. Oh, there's people down there. Oh my gosh, I never see people down there. Just a few, just to reinforce it. The lining can get a little distressed when you're pulling the jacket through the opening. Yeah, and it is really satisfying, Libby, right? Funnily, I learned how to do that in high school. You would think I learned that in college, how to do a lining without, like, because it seems like such a production thing to do, you know, like don't hand sew it. But it was her thing. Like, she was really into the fact that you could sew a whole lined jacket. And that's how she dressed, you know. She was definitely kind of a snappy dresser, you know. And so she wore a lot of lined jackets, and she was pretty, you know, into the fact that you could sew a whole one without using hand sewing. So that's riveting. Are you talking about Beverly? Hi. I was just thinking about you yesterday and hoping that your travels are going good, because you're traveling, right? You're kind of somewhere where internet's not the best and you don't have your sewing machine. So yeah, nice to see you. Okay. So we're going to put the jacket right sides together, and I'm totally forgetting. Do I do that through the hole of the jacket? I do, right? Yeah. So we're gonna sew this. Oh my gosh, I'm totally... Wait, Libby, do I do it through the hole, right? I have to do it through the hole. I just kind of had a little brain meltdown. Let me think about this. I talk a big game. So if I sewed this like this, could I get that through the hole? I'm like, wait a minute. I thought I know how to do this. I'm just going to pin this real quick. So if that was sewn, could I pull that through? And would it be correct? It would be right? Turn my sleeves inside out. Well, I mean, what do you mean by that? I sewed one already. So that's why I'm thinking that... Let me think about this. So this is why I'm thinking I shouldn't have sewn my sleeves together. Oh, nice, Beverly. Really? That's nice of you. Someone was asking for a faster tea house dress, but I thought that had timestamps. Let me think about this. So if I do that, if I pin this, can I just pull this through? I can, right? Right, Libby? I know. So I'm like, I'm making sure. Oops. See, I just ripped my sleeve a little bit. Got my sleeves, right? And then my lining would be sewn down there. And then, yeah, and then I have, okay, that's how you do it, Libby. We're good. We're good. It is really as easy as it seems. When you're doing a lot of these, you get kind of good about thinking what is possible and what isn't possible. So it may seem like confusing right now, but it all works. There's a few sewing steps that are always really, really weird that you can't do them a certain way. One of them is a one-piece facing, and one of them is aligning the jacket. It's like you think it's possible, and you're like, why doesn't this work? All right, Sarah. Be safe out there. Have fun. All right, so we're just going to line up this edge. So remember, if you did like me and you stitched this all the way down, you need to unstitch it a little bit. And we're going to line up this bottom edge here. And let's look at where, you see where this lines up, this facing right here? We're going to keep this, the line of this seam right here. See that? Right? It should be, yeah, like a 1/2 inch in. And the same with this, you're going to line this seam up, folded back on the seam line just like that, right? So basically, you're lining up the seam lines of these two pieces, but this one's folded back. It just makes the hand sewing later a little easier. Okay. And then you're going to line up all these seams here, just like this. Get all those threads to the raw edge here. I'm just walking mine down and just checking out the edge to make sure everything's going to sew well. And then we're back here. Same thing. You're going to line up this folded back edge with the seam line. And we're going to sew it. Whole thing. Ugh. It's big. 1/2 inch seam. Get all my raw edges to this seam allowance. The fact that Libby's quiet now makes me nervous. All my seams were pressed open. That is one other thing I did off camera, is I made sure all my seams were pressed the other day. It was just kind of a good moment to kind of check it over, look at everything. Press the seams open, and they've all been staying pressed open pretty good on both the linen and the jacket. This one right here isn't. It kind of pains me when I have all these threads. Like, so I know that for some of you that probably is bugging you too. I totally am with you there. I've just learned that if you trim them, they come right back. So the best thing to do is to just trim the ones that you might feel through a coat or whatever, or see through a lining or something. And then once you've trimmed them, like once you've sewn it and it's kind of the last time you're going to be touching them, then you can trim them, turn it, and then hopefully they're not doing this crazy amount of fraying once it's inside the jacket. It's because it's not going to be getting as much handling and friction. You know what I mean? All right, so here we are at the front. Like I said, this seam is actually really easy to sew. Like there's not any easing. All those seams should just line up. And here we are. Remember, this is that turn back edge there. And yeah, you're going to have a little hole right there. That's what you want. That's going to form your pleat. But like I said, there is a way to do it without even hand sewing that either. Like you can, it's a pretty cool little pattern. The pattern has to be kind of made for that. Where's that hole? There it is. No. Okay. I don't have any pins, right? I can just pull. I just have to be careful with my lining of on my sleeve. I really have too much coming through the hole right now at one time. There we go. And a jacket was born. All right, so now your lining is sewn to the bottom. And so this is what that front edge right here looks like. See that? And so then you're gonna, hand stitch that shut just like that. Look at that though, it looks really nice. And then this will pleat over. My linen is super linen-y. Like it definitely has a high pulp content. See, and there's this other little pleat right there. This little thread there. And then you hand sew that shut. They show it like this, I think. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do my nice and flat so that the pleat is the same all the way into the center front facing, just like that. All right, so now let's do our other sleeve. So we're going to be methodical about this sleeve as well so that we don't get it twisted, right? Because this one is actually easier to twist when you have that big opening in there. It's a lot of jacket. All right, so we have this seam here, that lined up there, and that one's lining up there. Okay, good. We're being methodical, right? Riveting. Really? I don't know if that's that riveting. It is kind of amazing that you can do it that way. So whoever figured that out, smart people. All right, and I always like to turn the sleeve inside out and make sure that it's not twisted. I've twisted a few sleeves in my life. So let's just stop hooking that on the needle. We'll make sure it feels all good in there. And now I'm gonna pull it through. It's a big jacket. It's knocking everything over. There's not enough in my garbage can to hold it there. All right. And so now this seems kind of weird that you're going to pull it through the lining here like this, but that's all you're going to do. You're just going to pull it through like this and put it right sides together and sew it. Just as straightforward as that sounds. Just like I did the other one. So I'm going to place these right sides together. If you twist your sleeve, just pull it out and you know, fix it. It's not a big deal. It's just kind of annoying. It happens. I even think like in the Cashmerette blog, I really appreciate that she says something like, we even twisted this sample before while we were sewing or photographing this blog post. I think I read that like a couple weeks ago. And I thought that's awesome because it's happened to me many times. And I'm like, I thought I was really careful, you know. All right, so now we have our sleeve right sides together. I just kind of give it a once over. And then now we're just going to sew it. So remember, if you have the sleeve pleat, you got to kind of do it a little differently. Not sure which way this seam allowance presses. Let's see, towards this way. All right. Might as well at this stage, right? Not get my seam allowances twisted if I can. I've come this far. I've made the number of mistakes that I want to make on this. There's some threads, so make sure, like this kind of thing, like getting your little persnickety. This camera lately it's so loose. I can't tighten that part. See these little threads of my lining? Just take your time and pull that out, because when they get in the seam and they show on the right side, that's just going to take you a lot more time to fix than pulling it out right now. Because you don't want to just yank on those. They might unravel or run your lining, or you might pull a thread of the weaving. You know, so. This is the thing I do wrong all the time. So this, see how I started kind of crooked right there? This is something I am really trying to break my habit of doing, and I always think about it. So often when I start an underarm armhole, when I'm setting in a sleeve, I'll set in the sleeve. So this is like, say this is that juncture of the underarm right there, right when you start. I'm always like, make sure you're parallel to the edge, Jeremy. And I'm never parallel. It always start and curve out, right? So then when I'm coming back around, I have to straighten that out. And on a set-in sleeve, because you're coming at kind of a curve like this, sometimes it's really tempting to kind of sync up with that, but that's not the seam allowance, and it can kind of create a pucker. So this is one of my little bad habits. I just thought I'd be transparent with you. It's really obvious on this because you can see it on the light pink. And on usually when I'm setting in a sleeve, you'll hear me say, "Oh, I'm not lined up," but you can't see it on the camera very well because the fabric or the thread matches. And so I say it, but you can't see it. But this really outs my bad habit of not being straight when I start. It's just a weird little thing. All right, so now look at you. Just go through here and pull your jacket through the lining like that. It's just like this part's really easy. It just kind of pops into place, right? Look at that. It's all done. So now we're going to tack that seam allowance right here. So see, this is where my sleeve was ironed a long time ago, and it just magically folds there. Well, it's not magic. I did that. I kind of do this, make sure everything's lined up. And then, yeah, we'll hand sew this. Did I lose my needle? You guys, there's so many pins on the floor right now. Hello, I'd like a needle with pink thread on it, please. Oh, here it is. It's on my pin cushion. Wow. Shocking. Right where it should be. All right. Oh, and like Margaret said, I need to still do my little sleeve tethers. I'm not sure, honestly, like, I understand they're a good idea. I don't know how much of a difference they make, but I'll do them. I think in some jacket styles, it's more important than others, but they're very common in the blazer. You guys are all quiet now. All right. And then the other one. Make sure your cuff lays nice and flat. It may not want to fold back right on top of itself. My little seam allowance right there was just folded, so I'm just making sure that it's nice and flat in there. No bumps, right? No bumps. Okay. Sleeve tether, tack sleeve hems. All right, I've done all that. Sleeve tether. So that is probably something I should have done a little bit ago. It would have been maybe a little easier to do it with before the lining was attached on the bottom. That would have been a lot easier to do it. So Margaret was right to say it when she did. Luckily for something like this, you don't have to have it lined up perfectly. Where's my underarm? This is my underarm right here. Okay. So let's look at this right here. And, you know, I'm going to do something simple like this. I'm just going to, this says take about a 3-inch piece. Here's a little 3-inch piece of binding. You can use a thread chain or a piece of lining. You're mentally exhausted. You're just going to tack it to the seam allowance of your sleeve to your outer garment. I think it keeps your lining from shifting around in your jacket too much. I would think the sleeves would do that, but this must be something that has been found to be helpful. I'm wondering if that was the nice way to do that. You know, I don't like that. I'll show you why. I really committed to that though, didn't I? Backstitching like that. Whew. This thread is so stout too. Come on. There we go. When I pictured doing this, I often think about like when I'm about to sew on stream ahead of time, like I'll visualize what I'm going to sew just so I'm kind of sewing through it since I don't get to practice. And this was one thing I thought about because I think the better way to do this would be instead of lining up your raw edge like this so that it bends back on itself, point it like this at the seam. So here's my seam line, there's my raw edge. Point it that way so then it's not bending back like that. Then there's no resistance or bulk. Where did I put that? I thought I put it right there. Oh, I did. Okay, I'm just making sure. So what would be the nicest way to do that? Yeah, so I'm going to do the same thing here. Hey, Kathleen. You're sewing mass higher the stack that's been hanging around. Yeah, I know what you mean. Oh, wow, Sydney. Oh, with your Halloween ones, those are really cute. Oh, that's a good one. You know, Kathleen, I said at the beginning, I'm not quite, I wouldn't be the one to say I know exactly all the reasons for it. But I do think it helps your lining from shifting in the inside. And Libby makes a really good point. That alone is worth doing it for, so that you don't pull your sleeve lining out of your sleeve when you're taking it on and off. That seems so smart. All right, so I have to do my other side, and this is why I probably should have done this when Margaret said so. Okay. So here's my underarm right here, right? That's my side seam. Really regretting not doing this sooner. See, this is why I'm here, so you can learn from me why you do things in a certain order. Okay, I'm going to trust these are my two right here. Okay. Of course, I don't have a little piece ready yet. We'll make this ready real quick. This is just a spare piece of bias from the hanging loop I made. I guess I could have used some of the check, but no one's going to see it. I'm going to use this little loop turner. Turn it right side out. And I'm not even going to spend time like fixing the ends because I'm just going to lop them off in a second. We'll get the seam roughly lined up. I'll just finger press it since it's linen. Cut it to the 3 inches. There we go. Fussy, fussy under thingy. I'm like, what's everyone shouting copper for? Anyone care about my cheese lining out? Silver, gold, or copper with boil? Oh yeah, copper for sure. Yes, Barbara, they were. The pattern piece isn't, but they'd mention it. They say, I can read what it says. So right here, using a 3-inch long by 1/2 inch wide piece of lining or a 2-inch long thread chain. This keeps the lining in place when the blazer is worn while still allowing it to move. That's all it says. I like Libby's reason too. A mask on the outer layer of fake fur. Right, Penny? That sounds cute. It's either that or a picture of fake fur. That stuff can be itchy. She's gonna be a werewolf. That sounds really fun. So you probably can't see this very well. I apologize. All right, phew, that was a little painful. Okay, so now we have this sleeve opening we need to deal with. And no, we're not gonna hand sew it. We don't do any stinking hand sewing around here. You think I'm crazy? No, I'm just teasing. Just to be contrary, silver does sound pretty snazzy. Yeah, Barbara, you could do a thread chain. They recommend that. I think a thread chain would be lower profile too, less bulky. Every time I catch something in my lap by pushing my knees together, you know, like this, it always makes me think of that Tom Sawyer book. You know, I've mentioned this before, where Huck Finn is dressed like a girl, and the woman who's kind of grouchy that makes them paint their fence. I barely remember these books, by the way, but I just remember that. I remember her dropping something above him and he catching it for her by pushing his knees together, and that outs him as a boy because a girl would have gone like this and caught it with her dress. I guess maybe maybe I wasn't fashion oriented from a young age, but I was definitely clothing interested in stuff like that, you know. All right. I'm just going to remove some of these hand stitches since they're a little messy. And they didn't even work on the other side, the other end. All right. So here's my other one. So now you're just going to line up these edges and we're going to edge stitch them shut. And it's inside the sleeve. No one will ever know. If you're doing a vest, I know a lot of folks sew lots of vests, and that there's a step when you're sewing the lining to the outer, and then you have to hand sew it. You can do the exact same thing I did here, and you do it in the side seam, and then you edge stitch the side seam lining. I'm going to do this a tiny bit deeper seam allowance. Oh, that's interesting, Barbara. Maybe, yeah, I guess that it could be a little stronger. I was thinking more like, ooh, I have this extra binding. I'm going to use it, you know. You remember reading that too, Lynn? It's kind of satisfying, right? I feel like we've been getting foiled with the hand sewing, Nancy. Oh, Libby, that's such a smart idea. That is a top tier tip, Libby. Running a thread chain off on your serger and using that. Oh my gosh. Because you could even do it really tight. I couldn't get that to grab on the other end. Because this has already been ironed, you know. Oh, was it, Nikki? Yeah, I've definitely seen this technique in some indie patterns, which is cool. All right. Sorry, I'm fiddling so much. I'm trying to cover, because the lining gets a little bit of stress when you pull the jacket through the opening there. And that's why I'm fussing with it. I'm kind of trying to tuck that into the seam because I wasn't very gentle pulling my jacket through. And this lining obviously is going to show every little bit of strain on it, right? Because it's just this really slippery stuff. He wants to go out to dinner. Well, you know, tell him to just bring it home. My husband often wants to go out, and then he'll kind of just say it to, I think, gauge my reaction. And then he'll be like, or I could go pick it up and bring it here. He knows. I should just iron this. Oh my gosh, this is so freaking fussy. Usually if you don't have any strain to this though, it's really nice when you have this little ironed edge. And I'm kind of going against this ironed edge right now. So let's just iron it. It's all about you. I'm not hand sewing it. The whole point of this is that you don't have to hand sew. I'm just making it look hard now because I should have ironed this. This lining is very susceptible to ironing, you know? Oh, wow. You guys getting some weather? We're supposed to get rain tomorrow and then rain a couple times next week. I'm so excited. Of course, I'm sending off my raincoat to Hearts right now, though. So... something to start this off. That's already looking a little better. Oh my gosh. There we go. Looking forward to leftovers is so nice. I have leftover meatloaf and I'm making a sandwich for lunch. I definitely don't, I can tell I don't eat as much meat anymore though, because now when I do, I'm like, okay, yeah, that was a lot. That was a heavy meal. All right, this is good. I think it is an El Nino year too. Oh, you got some of that rain, Janice? We got a drizzle. The city near us got a lot of rain, and my husband and I both had the same reaction. I was like, they don't need it. Why'd they get it? Like, why didn't all these like fire-prone areas get it, you know? So you just sew right on the edge. I'll bet you've noticed this in coats that you have. And alteration shops love this because if they have to do alterations, they love it when there's already a sleeve lining or edge stitched lining spot like this. I'm looking for my thread tail. Well, there it is. I was gonna say, I know I have one. My machine always leaves the exact same tails. All right. So our jacket is lined. So what's left? Yeah, so I think I got everything but the last three things. The last three things are to sew my buttons on. You press your collar, so you're going to shape your collar. I don't have a ham, so I'm going to kind of improvise. So you want to shape your collar and press it really good so that it's in the shape you want. And that, you know, that might help the whole idea of covering up that seam back there. Because look, it's really well covered. So maybe, yeah, maybe I would have gotten a better looking, you know, finish had I done it on the other side. And then the last thing to do, besides those two things, besides the buttons and the pressing, oh my gosh, is hand stitch this little pleat closed right there. And remember, it's only right here. I have this thread here. I'll just leave that, tighten it up. So that's all I need to do is hand stitch that shut and press it really well and put my buttons on. Woo woo. There you go. I've actually thought about that, Delwyn. Thank you. Right, Penny? Oh my gosh, that describes it so perfectly. Yeah, that's how I know it's rained here sometimes. This looks good. Let's look at my lining. See, look at that. So I think the other thing that you could do before you close it, in my opinion, is, you know how I tacked up the sleeve hems? I'm kind of surprised you don't do that for the, in spots like this, because I've done that on several jackets. And maybe I just missed it in the instructions. It could just be in there. But same thing, like tacking your seam allowance to itself up here so this stays. You could stitch in the ditch, like just put some stitches through. Maybe I'll do that. And then that way, you know, your lining, when it blouses, it's not going to hang below your jacket. So, no ham. I want to make a ham. Really? There's a wooden rack to hold. It's 2 hours away. Nikki, can you pick stuff up there? Not that you'd want to drive 2 hours, but where are you at, Nikki? Are you in California? I'm just curious. I think they must have, well, there's the deer. I wish I could show you guys. They kind of walk like chickens, you know? You use a rolled up towel. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I have a pillow. I was thinking too. All right, what would you guys like to see? Do you want me to do all three of those things? I don't know what's most interesting. Should I put it on? It's not pressed yet. Oh, really, Nikki? And I'm in California. My stuff gets here in 24 hours, too. All right, let's put the full screen on. Mm-hmm. Sorry, the microphone. It's really nice. Look at that, my lining's staying in there. Feels really good. I don't think it looks good over this shirt though. I need to redesign my wardrobe around my blazer now. Okay, where do I want my buttons? I think I just want them right here. I want them about an inch in. Thanks, you guys. My pockets are pretty short because this view wasn't supposed to have pockets. The one thing I don't like about this blazer is how like this right here, all this sits on the outside of the jacket when it's not buttoned. You see what I mean? Like when it's open, it stays in that shape. There. I'm trying to find the right angle. See right here? This is all empty. Is my collar covering the seam? It is, right? Sleeve feels really good. You see what I mean? Like, look at this right here. That's the one thing I'm not a big fan of when it's open. And I'm wondering if that is something maybe I could have addressed in fitting. What if my shirt was tucked in? I'm wearing my Ames jeans. That looks pretty good, huh? Ooh, I feel so smart. Oh, wait. Let's see, it kind of wings out right there. So maybe if I put my buttons on. See? It doesn't do the little wing when it's buttoned. It does it when I unbutton it. It does a little wing. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Where's that? Yeah, Barbara. With woolly fabric. BFT. Is that an actual phrase? Because you win again for interesting tips and comments today. It's so true. I like the Ames jeans a lot. They're really low. Make sure my zipper flies, because I accidentally put the wrong kind of zipper in this. I really like them. They fit me really good, but they're low for me. I would like them like right here. So that's not, I can't remember what I did in the fitting process of these. These are the ones with the cats on the butt. You see the cats? A drapier fabric. Yeah, I think you're right. I gotta handle you guys gently. Yeah, I think with a tucked in shirt, this makes me really want my blouse pattern now. The one I've been wanting to make for myself for a while. Those jeans you just made, Nancy, were pretty low rise. Those looked really cute with the red top stitching. I really like the way those turned out. Oh, do you see what's on my dress form over there? All right, so I made the March top by Helen's Closet yesterday. I was recording a video and I did something wrong on it. So it's bucketing now. Oh, yeah, so that was why your skies look so ominous. I have to fit it. So I've got it like, I'll show you my progress on this. Oh, I need to untuck my shirt too. I can't even see her. So this is the March top, and so I did the straight peplum without the gathers. It's another full sleeved top though, so see there's a seam here, And then there's this. And this right here comes up like up here on me. So I need to curve this and the center back neck as well. And then look, I'm going to put a horizontal dart right here. And then that way it actually hangs almost level. It's just that hip tilt, man. Because otherwise it does this, it looks kind of weird. And I just don't know. I don't know how I really think it looks on me. So we'll see. I'm working on it. That's my first video I've done in a while, or project where I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't gonna work, and I have to start over. So that I just saw the project through anyway. So, all right. So do you guys want to work on this blazer together some more? Do you want me to sew the buttons on? Do you guys know how to weave a shank on your button? That, or I can sew my little hole here. I'm gonna press. Those are my three things. But it felt really good on. Like it felt really stable. Like the lining isn't hanging out below the sleeve. It felt really comfortable. The canvas is pretty darn sturdy. I'm gonna mark my buttonholes. Hey April, how's it going? I'm gonna put these right here. Just placing them. Sewing the button, sure. And then I said I wanted it about 1 inch in, right? Oh, come on, jacket, stay on the table. God, maybe 3/4 of an inch. Now that I see what 1 inch looks like, you know. All right, so we're gonna do one here. And one here. And then let's measure the distance here. It's 2 7/8. Just double checking. That's 2 7/8. That was like a 1/16 off. 3/4. All right. So I think you have to decide if you want your thread to match your button or your garment. So like this one, you know, has like the blue wing right there. So I could probably just stick with the thread color of the jacket and it would kind of blend in. Here, I might pick the pink because otherwise he'd have like a blue stripe across his chest there. Or maybe like a reddish pink, you know. So we'll do this one first since that thread's easy. We have that on hand. And I'm going to get kind of a nice long piece. And I always do it this way. I always fold my thread in half. And then I put the cut ends through the needle. Make sure your needle can go through the hole of your button. Yeah, right, Nancy? Exactly. I agree with that. So make sure your needle can go through your button because so often I'll thread it and then I'll be like, oh, I can't even get my needle with the thread on it through the button. All right, so this one I don't want to lose. So I'm just going to pin it to my pin cushion there. So which one do we want though, on top and on the bottom? Like, I think I like the yellow one on top. All right. All right, so this one has some really weird angle of the buttonhole, the holes of the button. See that? That's really weird because they're not the same on the other button. So you have to decide, like, usually you want your buttonhole, your button, like the stitching of the button to be in line with the buttonhole. So then it would be like this, right? Because my buttonhole is horizontal across the jacket. You don't want it to be perpendicular because you don't want it to be spreading open the buttonhole and putting strain on it. So this one's kind of unique. I'm going to put this on to the added angle because I don't want the bird to look like he's crooked, you know? So that's kind of weird. So what I would say is if your holes are, you know, in line with your button hole, how many times can I say button and hole? You want this far one that's going to go towards the center of your jacket to be, you know, the lined up with the edge of your buttonhole. So you don't want it to, in other words, you need to remember where this is going to land. So if the buttonhole goes around it, it's going to rest against this side, right? So you have to think about where it's actually going to end up buttoning. Shoot. Especially when you're talking about buttons that are this big, because it does make a big difference. Yeah, right, Janice? I know. I'm telling you, it's all because of the sewing success. No one talks about it, but I'm convinced that's why you don't see a lot of set-in sleeves or zippers or buttons and buttonholes, because they want people to sew and finish their patterns and post it. So yeah. Did I say hi to you, April? I think I did. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to put mine on here. And I want my button. Dang it. I keep pushing my things out. I should just mark it with some chalk, but you know. All right. So I'm just going to do a few stitches here just to get it going. And then I can do a little slip knot like this since I have the cut edges here, and then that was the folded end of the thread. So that'll be where our button goes. And I'm going to go in and out of my hole, and I'm going to leave some space between. Let's see, is that about the angle I want? I think so. It's kind of weird. So kind of check it, make sure it's lining up the way you want before you commit. Yeah, I think that'll work. And now you're going to keep some spacing there. So some folks will put something in there, right there. What was the thing you guys recommended the other day? It was kind of clever. What was that? I can't think what you guys recommended. I don't think I have anything. I mean, my chopstick's just too high up. My awl is at a slope. So I just hold it. Yeah, I think so, Janice. You use a toothpick. I think the toothpick, I need something a little like wider. A toothpick's great though for a regular button. You use a T-pin. Oh, I might have one of those. I was thinking the edge of this, but that's too wide as well. I have a T-pin on here somewhere. Don't I? Maybe not. Well, I don't usually use something, so I'll just use my fingers. I usually just hold the button up, and so I'll do a few stitches, and I kind of keep some spacing in there. You can kind of keep a lot, especially on the blazer. What you're looking for is this space needs to be the thickness of the blazer because it needs to be able to sit back there, right? So I'm going to try and put my needle in the same spot. Let's push this down in there, okay. And I try and be pretty methodical about where my needle is going in, and then I look at the length of my threads there and try and be consistent, especially for the first few. And once you get a bunch in there, it gets a little easier. Oh, a small D-pin. That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. Did someone say that? I don't see that in the chat. Oh, double. Yeah, Christina said that. Yeah, there we go. Okay. The other reason you want like to keep these about the same length is you don't want these threads on top to get messy. And you need to make sure also that both threads on your needle are getting pulled taut. And you don't get a loop. Like right there, I'm getting a little bit of a loop because I wasn't really paying attention just a second ago. When I used to work at that place where my office was inside of the this incubator, and there were all these there was this company called Hot Knots that designed this line of clothing, and they had this group of people hand stitching, embellishing them, and a bunch of them were Hmong women, and the Hmong women had so many amazing hand sewing tips and tricks. I would sometimes just hang out with them. Oh, so now I have enough there that I have a pretty good shank, and we're going to just weave it. So I'm just going to make a figure 8. So I'm going straight through the middle like this between those holes. And this works if you have a 4 buttonhole button or a 2 buttonhole button. If you have 4, you group 2 together and the other 2. This is kind of messy. The holes on this are really far apart. So you just keep doing a figure 8. And what I do is I slide the needle against the button every time. That way I always keep the current pass through on top of the last pass through and pull it kind of tight. So I'm like scraping the back of the button kind of, and then doing this figure 8. And you do this for a bit until it'll start feeling really nice and solid too. My loops on top are kind of messy. I'll probably take this one out and do it again if I can't get that tightened up. And you're going to start seeing this shank form, this woven shank, and it looks really nice. Like I said, this one is, the spacing is really big. Those are huge holes on the button. It's going to take me a bit to get it to actually be a nice tight shank. If you use nice looking thread, like some of the nicer, smoother, decorative, heavier weight threads, this can look really good. I did that on my sagebrush dress, top dress hack. Those buttons look really nice. All the shanks do too. So look at how can you see how it's starting to look in there? And see, look at, now I have all this play. So my jacket can sit behind it. And what that does is it prevents your buttonhole from being stretched or stressed, and then it doesn't rip away from your jacket, because sometimes that's what happens. You'll end up ripping the button off of the jacket and some of the jacket goes. You're very nervous to get started, Nancy? I say just see what you're up against. That's all you need to do. Turn it on and do the first step, and that's it, and then stop. Yeah, I think Nikki's right. You got this. I think it's less hard than you think. I saw you had that whole guide printed. It's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome they have that. So that's in that projector group. Now I can kind of look at it and see. I wish you could see the shank looks really nice. You get this nice ridge. You see it? See that nice ridge between the 2 columns of stitches through the button? It actually shows it pretty good, the lighting. And I just do it until it feels pretty secured. I don't have much play in there. Where did I leave off? Oh yeah, this is it. Okay. I do think one good habit to get in when you're doing this is if you start and you go from the top down, like I just went from the bottom up, and then if you go from the top down, you would end up with your thread against the garment. And so see me, I'm going to get mine's going to be left at the top of the button. So I just find it so easy to like keep track of it. All right, and so maybe I'll just poke it through this little shank and make my way back down to get my thread at the bottom. And then I just poke my needle in a few times and do a little circle like this. I don't knot it. And I try and stay within the footprint of the two, columns of thread. Is that a good way to say it? Like that. Yeah, 4 inches at a time. There you go. Oh, that's cool, you guys. That's good information. You've been spending a lot of time then, because I feel like I've been kind of poking in on that group lately too after Adina mentioned it. There we go. And so let's button it. And so then, yeah, there's all this space. Because look how thick this is. This is really thick. It's so much easier to button your jacket when you have all that space there. And it's not pulling on my jacket a little bit. I could have probably even had more space. But see, you're not pulling, like sometimes you get this little like tent effect, So there we go. That's how I do a woven shank button. All right, let's sew a little bit of my bottom. I'm gonna use a smaller needle. I hate it when I pull a thread like that through the needle because it kind of stresses the thread out and makes it kind of curly. Like curling ribbon. Yeah, that's why I say, Nancy, just do like a tiny bit and see what you're up against, and then go get, coffee and kuchen, coffee and a treat. Think about it. Noodle on it a little bit. I'm the same way. I get all pumped and then I'm like, eek. Maybe I should have picked the blue thread because I think I should hand sew this too right here. Yeah, I really like the machine sewn way of doing this little thing here. I don't like hand sewing. Sheesh. Who do they think I am? A sewist? All right, let's put my backstitch right here. All right, so next week, I know people are probably going to start taking off, or probably already have. Next week, I'm making the Mercer top by Sewing in the City. I would definitely check it out on her website. It's pretty cool. It's a very good statement piece, easy to sew. I'm making the sleeveless version. Got like that 80s vibe, really strong shoulders. I really like the one on her website that shows those flanges. Are they epaulets or flanges when they're like that? I like that she has this version where she's quilted them. It's pretty cool. It's like black. It almost looks like leather. It's pretty sharp. I would never wear that. It looks amazing on her though. You've been noodling for a week. You know what I tell myself to get through things? you gotta figure out what works. Like sometimes it took me, I don't know, 40 years to figure out what works. But what works for me is at the end of the day when I'm laying in bed and am I gonna be happy? Like what's gonna make me feel good? Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to dread that tomorrow. That is my motivation. I really hate dreading things. And so I will be like, all right, I'm going to be so happy I got this done or started when I'm laying in bed tonight. Because I won't even think about it. I won't even have to think about it. I won't, when I'm laying in bed, it won't even come into my mind because I will have done it. Okay. It's kind of nice that if you do that little trim, it really covers up that edge there. Now, do I take a chance and sew this part with the pink thread? I don't know. I think that's pushing it. You know? All right, nice and tight. You know what I'll do? I'll finish this in this little hole here, like this. Hi, Shipali. Oh, your name is so pretty. Or handsome. I like your name. That's what I should say. I'm always live at 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm in California, so it'll be Wednesday and Thursday, 11 a.m. Pacific. So that would be 2.5 hours earlier from this moment, if that helps. Right, Livy? It might be like a soft ruffle then. It's kind of interesting. I'm always open to having my streams at different times, but I actually don't get a whole lot of people saying, I really wish you streamed at such and such time. Usually you just get people saying like, oh, I'm sorry I can't make it to the lives. And I totally understand, especially right now. A lot of people are going back to work. All right, so I'm just putting I'm hiding these little finished stitches in here. That's funny, Nikki. You're like, you got all like suited and booted to calibrate it, and then you were like, oh, that's it. This is way better than tape banners together, right? Thanks, April. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you had a button with a shank, you wouldn't even have to do that. And I think that's the ideal button for a coat, is one with a shank. And now you know why a lot of them have the shank. So I am really proud of it. Thanks, Nancy. The Mercer comes in a few different sizes. Like she has 2 size ranges on it. But that's an interesting thought, the FBA. I'm wondering if I should, okay, I have to go this way. This is the way my brain thinks. No. What way? I like to go right to left. But I want it to be hidden under that edge, so I'm going to do it like this. Maybe I should do a little like muslin of that top before I sew it, because she's letting me keep it, and she picked out the fabric and had it sent from Minerva. So I may be wearing that top occasionally. I have a stupid Fortnite dance song stuck in my head, and it just really makes me want to like blare heavy metal or something to get rid of it. I'm not going to sing it for you guys. My friend bought it for me as a joke because I can't stand it. Do you, Delwyn? That's awesome. I think Mafio got it too. That's pretty exciting. I know I told her, I'm like, this is great because this isn't something I would probably normally pick out. I pick a lot of pretty, vanilla type of silhouettes, you know, Staples sportswear-esque. And I don't really go for a lot of the like fashion-y types of silhouettes. So I think it's great to get to sew this project, you know. And it takes me thinking about other styles and stuff too. It's good for me. Stop that. I want to really secure this since I seam ripped it. That means that there was no back stitch right here. This is so easy because it's hidden. Poking myself each time isn't really great though. All right. Put a little knot, and then what I like to do when I have the tail is I like to poke it in to the fabric, and then I'll poke it out like right here, like this. And then I give a little tug, and then it snaps back in there. I'm sure that's cheating, but it works. It's not a place that's going to get pulled on. This is looking so good. Look at that. It just lines up so nicely. Very well drafted pattern. So, such a pleasure when you get such a good drafted pattern. Look at that. So nice. That's a good friend, Nikki. I don't know. I don't get to play with her enough anymore, and because she moved to the East Coast, and so it's tough. Like, we're 3 hours apart, you know. And I was telling her about this emote. I'm like, because so they've added all these TikTok dances to their emotes, and like, I can appreciate. Okay, Libby, see you later. I can appreciate like, you know, I've watched some TikTok. The dances are fun, whatever. I like that. It's great. And at first I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. They're bringing these TikTok dances. That's awesome that they're paying some of these creators and giving them some money and whatever. But now it's kind of ruined the lobby when you're waiting for a game because everybody's spamming these emotes. And so I'm sick of hearing them. And there's this one, I was like, what's he saying? Like, is he saying what I think he's saying? My friend's like, no, he's saying Gucci down to the socks. I'm like, no, that's not the word Gucci. He's like, it's Gucci. I'm like, it's not Gucci. And so I was telling my friend Stormless about it. I was like, hey, she's like, I don't even recognize some of these emotes anymore. I hardly play this. I was like, yeah, there's this one, and this is what he's saying. And she's like, no, I'm like, no, I'm serious. That's what they're saying. And she's like, how could they get away with that? I'm like, I don't know. And then it came up for sale and she bought it for me. And I was like, gosh darn you. And so I Googled it. I ended up Googling it, and they're saying it's an Australian clothing brand, and it's COOGI. And so I was like, because nobody wants that down to their socks, you know? So that was my argument, you know? So... all right, Terry, see ya. We're just chatting now. I'm just boring you guys now, really. Wait, someone said something. Let's see it unbuttoned. Okay, I'll do that. And then I'll get going. Maybe I'll do this during my Patreon Zoom. Patreon Zoom today for those third Saturday folks. Still going, Sydney. Did you have to take off? We're pretty much done, though. I just need to sew one button on, and I need to do some ironing of the collar. And, and I need to hand sew this tiny bit 1/2 inch right here. Ugh. This thing is, why is mine so clunky and everyone else's isn't? Yeah, now you know why I don't really want to talk about that song. What is that? Oh, it's my pin. Okay, there we go. I need to put the shirt in, right? kind of appropriate. It's with the Ames jeans. I don't know. What do you guys think about this button? It's so backwards for me. What do you think about that button? Can you even really see it? Does it stick out too much? Yeah, no, I can move really well in it. It's great. Oh, latte spoon, local whiskey barrel aged made. Oh, wow. Sydney's always making me want a Starbucks drink after my stream. Look at the sleeve. The sleeve fits so good. Look at that. That is so good. Such a good sleeve. I could have come in a lot back here, but it didn't hang right when I did that. Yeah, that's why I wanted to wear jeans today, so that I could, you know, show it off. If I wasn't, I mean, I have a bit of a belly these days, so once I press all this, it'll stay, you know, open. Well, it's turning my camera pink. It's just something about the turquoise. Thanks, you guys. I'm so happy. Yeah, look at that. It's pretty good. Doesn't raise up too much. It's got shoulder pads. They're really lightweight. I'm going to get my hair cut a little bit off. A lot of too much at the bottom, you know. Okay. Can you see you guys didn't tell me, can you see the neck seam under the collar back there? You can. All right, so that's something I really got to make sure I press. And see, this one wants to do this. Maybe this one would too. I'm just curious. Yes, he holds that down. I'm going to take this off for a second so we can see it. Need one more button for sure. I haven't pressed it, yeah. So very shallow pockets because this view wasn't supposed to have pockets. So, you know, this view wouldn't have pockets normally. I think that would look really sharp without the pockets, to be honest. Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks for coming with me on this journey. Hey, Amy, how's it going? Thank you. Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm glad it's done. Isn't it weird? The coloring is so bad with the turquoise. It looks a little slouchy here, sitting down. Like right here, look at that. I did make my sleeve pretty full. Yeah, the pockets are essential. The sleeve does look really nice. I think I could wear a light sweater under this too. What kind of shirt would you wear under this? What do I need to do? What do I need? I want to wear stuff with this. The sleeve, look at the sleeve looks pretty full. I'm glad I made it that full. It looks really full, but it doesn't feel that full. And look at my lining is really staying tame in there. It's not pressed yet, but it's not hanging out, which is great. I'm always worried about that. Yeah, I did. Well, I'm trying to remember what a sleeve head is. Oh no, I didn't do that. I didn't. I know what that is. I put that in, put one of those in on the Cascade duffel coat. Yeah, right, Sydney, it was. I also think because this is a blazer that's supposed to fit a woman with a bust rather than a lot of blazers don't. Oh, a dress. Yeah, I actually looked for a dress in my closet today. And the one I thought would work was the, the Deer and Doe Bluet dress. Yeah. I don't have a sleeve head in it, but I do have a shoulder pad going to this seam allowance. So, woo woo! Happy blazer dance. All right. I'm going to get my lunch and get ready for my Patreon Zoom. So whoever's third Saturday, I'll see you there if you can make it. Hopefully have your links. I'll try and remember to check my email this time during the meeting. I know a couple people will email and say, I don't have the link. It's in your Patreon messages. So I didn't, Sydney. Did you get it? It looks like a fantastic book. I think it'll be really good. Yeah. Did you get it? I know it released in the UK, and then it comes out, I think November 9th. Oh, Nancy, are you still here? I don't think you saw what I was, or heard me the other day, but did you see that email from Bootstrap Fashion about the pants form, a custom pants form? Because I'm kind of interested. You didn't order it either? Yeah. Yeah, I hope it does well. I'd love to have it, but I just, honestly, I can't just buy every single thing that comes out. There's so much. Did you see that email from Bootstrap about the custom pant dress form? I don't know if any of you know about Bootstrap, but you can get your own custom pattern for a dress form, and Nancy made one. They have a pants one I'm kind of intrigued by. So, all right, I'm going to take off because now I kind of want some fancy coffee drink or something. Yay, I'm done. It's like maybe this isn't, maybe I just need to get used to how a blazer looks, right? It feels really good. You did? That's awesome. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I know. You made 2 of them. All right, so next week, Mercer Top by Sewing in the City. And then after that, I'm going to do the Fairfield button-up. So I think what I'm going to do, if this is okay with you guys, is I'm going to cut out the Fairfield button-up next Saturday, since I finished my blazer a week earlier than I thought I would. And so that means the sewing will be on the Wednesday and Thursday afterward. Rather than me cutting it Wednesday, sewing Thursday, Saturday, I'm going to cut it next Saturday, sewing Wednesday, Thursday. So, right, Janice? I hope I get to wear it a lot too. It's not very hot, which is nice. The Fairfield button-up is a men's shirt, button-down shirt, like classic button-down shirt, collar stand. It has flat-filled seams if you want, and 2 sleeve placket styles. I'm going to be doing it out of a big plaid, so we're going to talk about plaid matching. And since I have the extra week, I think I'll start it a day early. And then that way, I think what I'll do is go right into doing the ideal bag. So if anyone wants to cut and sew an ideal bag with me, that's a free pattern on my website, and it's quite a chunk. Yes, it is, Sydney. It's by Thread Theory Designs. Comes in lots of sizes too, I think, and different fits. The Pendleton. I know someone here is making a Fairfield right now. That's cool, Janice. Thanks, Sandy. Appreciate it. So that means then 2 Saturdays from now, I'll be cutting and I'm going to alter the pattern of the ideal bag. Probably Mafio. They're really satisfying to do. It's not new. It's the ideal bag that you guys all designed like a year and a half ago, and I want to make me one. It's free on my website. It's like I said, it's quite a chunk of a pattern. Like you guys wanted a lot of features, and it came with all kinds of, like, I just made it exactly how you guys wanted it. I'm gonna make mine without a flap. Here, I'll pull it up on the screen for you guys. How about that? Just gonna search ideal. Here it is. So this was the bag, and then it has a laptop sleeve back here, pockets here. We had pockets for folks to carry an EpiPen. This is a bottle holder, like a water bottle holder. This flap design has a zippered pocket on the outside, and this was this white one, I printed at 85% size, so you can make a regular, like a smaller size version. And so I had cell phone pocket and a couple of other pockets. You don't have to make them gather. This is wax cotton, and I still did the gathers. 2 flat pockets back here, a handle and a strap. Let me show you the larger one. So here's the larger one. And so this one has this feature on the sides of the flap, if you can see the gathers here, so that the things stay secure inside the bag. This is a similar configuration, just a different flap. See, it has this so that, you know, things don't sneak out the holes there. The other one doesn't have that. It's hard to see these. So yeah, so this is the size on me. So you can see the size, full size is pretty big, and then the regular size is a little bit smaller. And you can see here's the flap differences right here, the white versus the maroon. I'm trying to show the front pockets. So there's a zippered pocket here, and then a pocket behind it, and then a zippered pocket. So this is 3 pockets right here. And it's free. Look at this huge font. Oh my God, I gotta fix that. It's a free pattern. And it actually comes with pattern pieces. So yeah, so Nancy, I'm gonna make mine with a zipper top like the laundry basket has. And what was the other thing I was gonna do? The other thing I was gonna do was like another pattern. I can't think of what it was. Oh, I'm gonna put shoulder handles on it, like 2 handles like my project bag has. So I'm gonna alter the pattern a little bit for that, and then I'll teach you guys how to do that. And I'm gonna cut mine out of a pretty stiff wax cotton, the green one I used for the cocoon, and line it in a cotton fabric. So if you wanna join me, it's not hard to sew. It's a lot of pieces and a lot of like planning all your little pattern pieces, because it's a lot of little pieces. But if you just stack them up by their fabrics and you're methodical, keep the pattern pieces with it, it's not hard to sew. It's all sewn flat. Like, it's really easy. And then sewing the bag and making it into a bag, that's not hard either. I promise. I really promise. So, and there's streams on how to sew this and everything, but I'm going to do one with you guys. So anyway. All right. I will see you guys next Wednesday. All right. Yeah. And shoulder handles. Me too, Nancy. I'm not much of a messenger bag type of person. Me too, Janice. I've been wanting to use it for so long, and I finally decided that's what I'm going to do it with. I really want a Liberty of London, like really colorful, tight floral for the lining. And they had it, they have some on a shop, but it's like $45 a yard. I was like, yeah, we're not doing that. Because that's like garment quality fabric. I say go for it if you want, but I don't really need to do that for my bag. So I have plenty of great fabric. Yeah, right, Janice? Me too. I know. I was pretty jealous of them too. I really like the linen one with the floral handle. This jacket is so comfortable, you guys, and it's not hot at all. I love it. See you, Terry. Thanks for coming. All right, I'll see you guys Wednesday, and the Patreon Zoomers later on, like 2.25 hours. So, right? Yeah. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.